The Encounter Commander Tal of the Blue Fleet stared at his scanner display, certain the readings were wrong. His patrol ship Swift Wing had been conducting routine border checks along the neutral zone when something impossible appeared on sensors. Object measured over 20 kilometers long and 8 kilometers wide. Tal's computer systems couldn't classify it. Too big for any known ship design. Too organized to be an asteroid. The energy signature alone exceeded anything in the galactic databases. "Sir, it's moving," reported Sensor Officer Nix, his voice tight with worry. Straight line, constant speed. Whatever it is, someone's driving it. Tal felt his stomach drop. In his 15 years of service, he had never seen anything like this. The Blue Fleet prided itself on having the most advanced ships in the galaxy. Their cruisers were marvels of engineering, fast and deadly. But this thing dwarfed them like a mountain next to a pebble. "Any response to our signals?" Tal asked. "Yes, sir. They're transmitting on standard frequencies." "Says they're the human vessel Thunderstrike, requesting safe passage through our space." Tal's blue skin paled. Humans? Those small, pink creatures from the outer systems? They were known as decent traders and skilled diplomats, but their technology was considered basic at best. Their ships were tiny, their weapons simple. How could they build something this massive? "Visual contact in 30 seconds, Nix announced. Main screen flickered to life, showing empty space filled with distant stars. Then something blocked out half the star field. A wall of gray metal stretched across their view, covered in lights and structures that looked like cities. Weapon ports. The size of space stations dotted its surface. Engine outlets glowed with energy that made Tal's eyes water. "By the void," whispered Pilot Max, forgetting protocol. "It's not just a ship, it's a flying world." The communications panel crackled to life. A calm human voice spoke in perfect galactic standard. "Blue Fleet vessel, this is Captain Joe of the UE's Thunderstrike. Thanks for the escort. We're heading to the Nexus station for some routine meetings." "Beautiful ship you have there." Tal struggled to find his voice. "Captain Joe, this is Commander Tal. Your vessel is quite large. Our records show no human ships of this size." A chuckle came through the speakers. "Oh, the Thunderstrike is one of our newer Titan-class battleships. Nothing too fancy. We built her for deep space patrol work. She's got good range and can handle most trouble we run into out in the dark sectors." "Most trouble?" Tal tried to imagine what kind of threats would require a ship like this. His own cruiser carried enough firepower to level a small moon. This human vessel could probably crack a planet in half. "Commander," Nix whispered urgently, "I'm reading massive energy. Spikes from their ship. Multiple fusion reactors, each one bigger than our main power plant. And those aren't just weapon ports on the hull. Those are launch bays. This thing could carry thousands of fighters." Tal's mind raced. The humans had always seemed so ordinary. They attended council meetings, signed trade agreements, and generally kept to themselves out in the frontier territories. No one paid them much attention. They were just another small species trying to make their way in the galaxy. But this ship changed everything. "Captain Joe," Tal said carefully, "might I ask how many vessels like this humans operate?" "Oh, quite a few," came the casual reply. "The Thunderstrike is part of the 7th Deep Space Fleet. We've got about 200 Titan-class ships spread across our patrol zones, plus the usual support vessels. Nothing compared to the old days, of course. We used to need a lot more ships when the sector was more dangerous. 200 ships like this?" Tal felt dizzy. The entire Blue Fleet consisted of 50 vessels, and they were considered one of the major powers in the galaxy. If humans had hundreds of ships this size— "Sir," Max called out, "they're changing course." heading for the main shipping lane. Tal watched the massive human ship turn with surprising grace for something so enormous. Its movement sent ripples through space itself, gravity waves that rocked their much smaller vessel. As the thunderstrike moved away, Tal finally understood what he had witnessed. This wasn't just a big ship. It was a glimpse into a truth the galaxy had missed completely. Humans weren't the simple frontier species everyone assumed. They were something far more powerful, hiding in plain sight among the stars. And if this was what they sent for routine meetings, what did their actual military look like? The thought terrified him. Word spreads within hours of the encounter. Reports flooded galactic communication networks. Commander Tal's footage of the human battleship spread from system to system, causing panic and disbelief in equal measure. At Nexus Station, the galaxy's primary trading hub, alien diplomats crowded around view screens showing the massive human vessel approaching. Station Manager Quinn, a tall insectoid from the Hive worlds, watched his sensors struggle to process the ship's enormous bulk. "This cannot be real," muttered Ambassador Flex of the Crystal Coalition. His translucent body flickered with nervous energy. Humans lack the industrial capacity for such construction. Our intelligence reports show they control maybe 30 systems at most. The station's military advisor, General Rock from the fierce Red Claw species, studied tactical readings with growing alarm. "Those aren't decorative features on the hull," he growled. "I count over 3,000 weapon emplacements. Heavy plasma, cannons, missile tubes, energy projectors. This single ship outguns our entire sector fleet." Captain Joe's shuttle docked at the station, carrying a small diplomatic team. The humans looked perfectly ordinary. Average height, simple clothing, friendly smiles. They greeted the assembled alien dignitaries with casual politeness that seemed completely at odds with the weapon-bristling mountain of metal floating outside. "Sorry about the size," Joe said cheerfully as he shook hands with various ambassadors. "The Thunderstrike is a bit much for civilian stations, but she was the closest ship when we got the meeting request. Hope she's not blocking any traffic lanes." Ambassador Flex stared at the human captain. "Captain Joe, your ship is larger than our capital vessels. How is this possible?" "Our estimates of human technology." "Oh, we've been busy out in the frontier." Joe interrupted with a smile. "Lots of challenges in deep space. You learn to build ships that can handle anything. The Thunderstrike has served us well for the past 8 years. Solid construction, reliable crew, good systems." 8 years? General Rock's combat instincts screamed warnings. If humans had been building ships like this for nearly a decade, how many more are out there? "Captain," Quinn asked carefully, "might we inquire about the purpose of such substantial vessels?" Joe's expression grew more serious. "Patrol duty, mostly. The outer rim can be dangerous. Ancient defense systems, rogue AI remnants, things left over from the old wars. Someone needs to keep the shipping lanes clear and make sure nothing nasty wanders into civilized space." The aliens exchanged glances. What old wars? What ancient systems? The galactic histories spoke of some lost civilizations, but those were myths and legends. "We've also got search and rescue operations," Joe continued. "Deep space is big and empty. When someone goes missing out there, you need ships with range and staying power to find them. The Thunderstrike has pulled quite a few crews out of tight spots over the years." Dr. Lin, Joe's science officer, pulled up a holographic display showing star charts. "We've mapped about 60% of the local galactic arm," she said casually. "Lots of interesting phenomena out there. Dead worlds, spatial anomalies, the occasional automated fortress that doesn't like visitors. 60%? The assembled diplomats stared at the charts, showing territories that stretched far beyond known space. Hundreds of systems marked in human blue, with patrol routes and supply lines connecting them in a vast network. "This is impossible, Ambassador," Flex whispered. "Our long-range surveys show those sectors as unexplored." "Different priorities," Joe shrugged. "You folks focus on the core systems, which makes sense. Good planets, established trade routes, stable governments. We ended up with the frontier territories. Someone had to explore them eventually." General Rock studied the tactical implications. If humans controlled that much territory, their resource base was enormous. No wonder they could build ships like the Thunderstrike. "Captain," he asked, "how many ships does your fleet operate?" Joe paused, considering. "Active patrol vessels? The 7th Fleet has about 30 Titan-class ships like the Thunderstrike, plus support vessels. But that's just our sector. Each frontier zone has its own fleet. 30 ships like this in one fleet alone? And multiple fleets?" The galaxy's understanding of human capabilities crumbled with each casual revelation dot as the meeting continued. One thing became clear to every alien present. They had drastically underestimated humanity, while the galactic powers focused on politics and trade in the comfortable core systems. Humans had been quietly building an empire in the dangerous frontier regions. The question now was, what did they plan to do with all that power? The investigation begins. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session within days of the Thunderstrike's appearance. Representatives from major species demanded answers about humanity's hidden capabilities. Council leader Voss, an elderly reptilian from the ancient sage worlds, called for order as delegates argued in dozens of languages. "We must approach this systematically," he declared. "Fear and speculation help no one." Intelligence Chief Kara of the Shadow Fleet presented her findings to the Assembly. Her species specialized in information gathering, their natural stealth abilities making them excellent spies. But even her extensive network had missed humanity's true strength. "Our analysis of the human vessel reveals technology at least 50 years ahead of galactic standard," Kara reported, her dark form barely visible at the podium. "The ship's power core alone generates more energy than most space stations. Its manufacturing facilities could produce entire fleets of conventional vessels." Senator Hex from the Trade Federation raised a concern that worried many. If humans possess such industrial capacity, why do they continue small-scale trading? Their economic behavior makes no sense. Admiral Stone from the Blue Fleet, Tal's superior, provided military analysis. "I've reviewed Commander Tal's sensor logs. The human ship carried approximately 10,000 crew members. That's a population equivalent to some of our smaller colonies. They're not just operating a ship, they're running a mobile city." The Assembly stirred uneasily. Cities in space suggested a level of resource commitment that spoke to vast wealth and population. Dr. Echo, the Council's chief scientist, presented her theoretical analysis. Based on observed capabilities, humans would need hundreds of heavily industrialized worlds to support such construction projects. Yet our surveys indicate they control frontier territories, generally considered worthless. "Perhaps," suggested Counselor Wave of the Ocean Worlds, "our surveys were inadequate." This prompted heated debate. The galactic powers prided themselves on their mapping and exploration efforts. Admitting they had missed entire human civilizations was professionally embarrassing. Voss called for a fact-finding mission. "We need direct observation of human space," he declared. "Volunteers?" The chamber fell silent. Despite their curiosity, few delegates wanted to venture into territories that could produce ships like the Thunderstrike. Finally, Commander Tal stepped forward. "I'll go," he said simply. "I've already encountered them once. They seemed reasonable." Captain Joe, attending the session as a human observer, smiled at this. "You're all welcome in human space," he said. "We're always happy to show visitors around." Fair warning, though, it's pretty quiet out there. Might not be as exciting as you expect. This casual invitation only increased the mystery. Why would humans openly welcome investigation if they were hiding something sinister? Kara volunteered to accompany the mission, along with Dr. Echo and General Rock. The diverse team would provide multiple perspectives on whatever they discovered. Joe offered to arrange transportation. The Thunderstrike is heading back to human space next week. You're welcome to ride along. We'll give you the full tour, shipyards, colonies, maybe even some of the interesting archaeological sites we found out there. Archaeological sites? This was another surprise. Humans spoke of ancient ruins and lost civilizations as if they were routine discoveries. As the council session ended, private conversations revealed the depth of alien concern. Species that had considered themselves galactic powers now wondered if they were merely regional governments, unaware of the true giants operating in unexplored space. Ambassador Flex cornered Joe after the meeting. Captain, be honest with us. Are humans planning expansion into core territories? Joe looked genuinely puzzled by the question. Why would we want to do that? The core systems are already well developed and densely populated. We prefer the frontier. Regions, lots of room to grow, interesting challenges to solve, and nobody bothering us about zoning regulations. This answer was somehow more disturbing than any aggressive threat. Humans weren't planning conquest because they didn't need to. They had found something better, unlimited space and resources in regions other species considered uninhabitable. Investigation team prepared for departure, each member wondering what they would find in human space. Would they discover a massive military buildup, secret weapons projects, plans for galactic domination? Or would they find something even more unsettling? A civilization so advanced and self-sufficient that it simply didn't need the rest of the galaxy? As the Thunderstrike prepared to depart Nexus Station, its massive bulk blotting out stars, the assembled aliens realized they were about to discover how little they actually knew about their own galaxy. Into human space, the journey to human space took 2 weeks, giving the investigation team time to explore the Thunderstrike. What they discovered challenged every assumption about human civilization. Commander Tao found himself in the ship's main corridor, which stretched for kilometers through the vessel's heart. Humans moved about their daily routines with casual efficiency, treating the massive warship as simply their home and workplace. Dr. Echo studied the ship's educational facilities with amazement. They have universities aboard this vessel, she told her companions. Advanced research laboratories, libraries with millions of texts. This single ship contains more knowledge than most planetary archives. The humans seemed genuinely pleased to share information. Lieutenant Sam, their tour guide, explained the ship's systems with enthusiasm. The Thunderstrike is designed for long-range patrol, she said. We might spend years between port calls, so we need to be self-sufficient. Manufacturing, farming, medical facilities, entertainment, everything a community needs. General Rock examined the ship's defensive systems, struggling to comprehend their scale. The point defense network alone could destroy entire fleets. But what impressed him most was how casually the crew operated such devastating weapons. Most of our guns are automated, explained Weapons Officer Bob. We're usually dealing with ancient defense systems or space debris, not thinking opponents. The computer handles routine threats. We only take manual control for special situations. Special situations? Rock wondered what could challenge a ship like this. Kara used her stealth abilities to observe human behavior patterns. What she found was disturbing in its normalcy. These people lived ordinary lives aboard an extraordinary vessel. Children attended school, families shared meals, couples fell in love. They had simply scaled up normal human existence to match their massive ships. The first human world they visited shattered remaining illusions about frontier poverty. New Terra bustled with activity, its cities sprawling across entire continents. Orbital elevators carried cargo to massive space stations that dwarfed most alien spaceports. Governor Max welcomed the alien delegation to his office, overlooking the capital city. "Welcome to New Terra," he said warmly. "One of our newer colonies. We established it about 30 years ago." 30 years? Dr. Echo stared at infrastructure that would take most species centuries to build. "How did you construct so much so quickly?" "Automation mostly," Max replied. "Our construction ships can level mountains and build cities in a few months. When you're settling empty worlds, speed matters. Weather, local wildlife, geological instability. You need to establish a foothold fast." The team toured industrial facilities that produced finished starships like other worlds made simple tools. Captain Joe showed them the shipyards where new Titan-class vessels took shape, their hulls growing under the attention of millions of robotic workers. "We complete about 4 ships per year from this facility," Joe mentioned casually. "Not our fastest yard, but the quality control is excellent." 4 ships like the Thunderstrike every year from one facility? Commander Tal felt dizzy contemplating. The implications. The archaeological sites Joe had mentioned proved equally revealing. Human teams had discovered dozens of ancient civilizations in the frontier regions, cataloging technologies and studying the remains of species that had died out millions of years ago. Dr. North, the lead archaeologist, showed them a massive automated fortress humanity had discovered and deactivated. "These things are scattered throughout the galaxy," she explained. "Ancient defense systems, still functional after eons. They attack anything with advanced technology. We've found hundreds of them." This explained the need for massive warships. Humans weren't building weapons to fight other species. They were defending against threats the core worlds never imagined. Kara made a disturbing discovery during their visit to the military archives. Human space wasn't peaceful frontier territory, as they claimed. It was a war zone where humanity battled ancient machines, spatial anomalies, and things that defied classification. The casualty reports were staggering. Thousands of humans died each year fighting threats that most aliens didn't know existed. Every Titan-class battleship represented not just industrial might, but desperate necessity. Asterisk. "We don't talk much about the dangerous stuff," Joe admitted when confronted with the evidence. "No point worrying folks in the core systems. You've got enough problems without thinking about ancient war machines and dimensional rifts." As their tour continued, the investigation team realized they had discovered something unprecedented. A species that had found hell in the galaxy's dark corners and decided to make it their own, standing guard against nightmares to protect worlds that didn't even know they existed. The new reality. The investigation team returned to Nexus Station with a report that would reshape galactic civilization. Their findings spread through diplomatic channels like wildfire, forcing every major species to reevaluate their understanding of the galaxy. Commander Tal stood before the emergency council session, his blue skin pale with the weight of what he had witnessed. "Honored delegates," he began, "humanity is not the minor frontier species we believed. They are the galaxy's hidden guardians, standing watch against threats we never imagined." He activated holographic displays showing human territory, vast. Regions marked by defensive positions, patrol routes, and battle sites. While we focused on trade and politics in the core systems, humans have been fighting a war for survival against ancient machines, spatial anomalies, and worse things that lurk in the galaxy's dark regions. Dr. Echo presented her technical analysis. Human technology surpasses our own by decades. Their industrial capacity exceeds the combined output of all core worlds. They have transformed warfare, exploration, and colonization into sciences we're only beginning to understand. General Rock's military assessment was even more sobering. A single human Titan-class battleship could defeat our combined fleets. They operate hundreds of such vessels, supported by millions of smaller craft. If they chose conquest, we could not resist them. The chamber erupted in worried discussions. Ambassador Flex raised the question haunting everyone. Why haven't they conquered us already? Kara provided the answer from her intelligence gathering. Because they don't need to. Human space contains thousands of worlds, unlimited resources, and challenges that keep them fully occupied. They see the core systems as we might view a peaceful retirement community, pleasant, but not particularly relevant to their concerns. This revelation was perhaps most disturbing of all. Humans weren't planning galactic conquest because they had found something better than empire purpose. They had appointed themselves guardians of the galaxy's edge, fighting horrors that would otherwise spread to civilized Space. Council leader Voss called for order as delegates demanded answers to impossible questions. How had every intelligence service missed this? What did humanity want? Could they be trusted with such overwhelming power? Captain Joe, present as humanity's representative, addressed these concerns with his usual calm demeanor. We're not interested in ruling anyone, he said simply. We've got our hands full managing our own territory. A frontier keeps us busy enough. But your capabilities, Senator Hex protested. Your fleets could dominate the galaxy. Joe shrugged. They could also explore distant galaxies, build massive space habitats, or terraform dead worlds into gardens. Having power doesn't mean you have to use it for domination. We prefer creation to conquest. Admiral Stone asked the question that military leaders across the galaxy were pondering. What do you want from us? Honestly? Not much, Joe replied. Keep doing what you're doing. Maintain civilization in the core systems, develop your cultures, expand your knowledge. We'll handle the dangerous stuff out on the rim. Everyone stays happy. This offer of protection without subjugation was unprecedented in galactic history. Species that gained overwhelming military advantage typically used it to dominate others. Humans seemed content to stand guard in the darkness, asking nothing in return. Dr. Echo raised a scientific concern. The ancient threats you fight, shouldn't the galaxy be warned? Joe considered this carefully. We've thought about that. But what would be the point? You can't help us fight dimensional rifts or self-replicating war machines. All we'd accomplish is spreading panic about problems you can't solve. The council spent days debating this new reality. Some delegates proposed immediate military buildup to match human capabilities. Others suggested diplomatic integration to secure human protection. A few paranoid voices called for preemptive action against the human threat. Voss ultimately guided the council toward acceptance. Humanity has shown no aggressive intentions toward core worlds, he declared. Their actions suggest they genuinely desire to protect galactic civilization. We should respect their choice and support their efforts where possible. The Galactic Accord that emerged from these discussions formally recognized human authority over frontier territories while establishing limited cooperation protocols. Humans would continue their guardian role while occasionally sharing defensive technology with core worlds. Captain Joe signed the accord with the same casual attitude he brought to everything else. Sounds fair to everyone, he said, as if he hadn't just negotiated the most important treaty in galactic history. As the Thunderstrike departed for human space, its massive bulk disappearing into the star field, the assembled aliens contemplated their new reality. The galaxy was far stranger and more dangerous than they had known, but also far safer than they deserved. Humanity had glimpsed the darkness beyond the rim and chosen to stand against it, asking nothing in return except the right to continue their lonely watch among the stars. The galaxy would never be the same, but it would endure, protected by guardians who preferred shadows to glory. Asterisk.